Well, I just wanted to start off by saying welcome everybody to the Oil Mixed Media and Sculpture virtual exhibition. Today I am leading the virtual exhibition with my coworkers Renee and Landry. Renee, do you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Renee. I'm the gallery assistant for Alfa Art Gallery.
Landry?
Hi, I'm Leandri. I'm one of the lead graphic designer interns for Alfa Art Gallery.
Amazing. And then I'm Caitlin Harris Piccarilli. I am a curatorial intern as well as a gallery manager for Alfa Art Gallery. I think me and Renee are both we're both summer interns, and Landry is an incoming fall intern, but she's been amazing and she's jumped right into everything and is helping us with this exhibition right now. Just to give, everybody just a little itinerary for the night, because I know that there are not a lot of virtual exhibitions, I think, that happen. But we just wanted to introduce ourselves, and after we're going to play a video that was put together by all the interns and workers at Alfa Art Gallery. It's about 25 minutes long, and it's just going to be an overview of all the artists in this exhibition, as well as some key characteristics of their art. And then afterwards, we're going to exit out of that. Landry is going to log us on to Art Steps, which has a virtual gallery that she's able to walk us through. And me and Renee are going to make some comments, and feel free during that time, any of the artists who are on the call, to make comments about their own artwork as well. We'll also be getting any comments in from any fellow curatorial interns who are on today's call, and we'll be voicing them for them. But yeah, and then afterwards, I'm thinking we do a Q&A session, whether that's with the interns or workers who work at Alpha, or any of the artists who are on the call today. Are there any questions before I start the video? No? Amazing. Landry, do you mind starting the video?
Hello, and welcome to Alfa Art Gallery's virtual exhibition opening for our 2024 Oil, Sculpture, and Mixed Media exhibition. This exhibition is aptly titled Color and Texture, Anthologies of Artistry, and it features works that encapsulate rich textures and vibrant colors. My name is Reese Finnegan, and I'm a curatorial intern here at Alpha. It is my honor to introduce this exhibition to you. The exhibition has been running for just under 2 weeks and will be open until October 19th. As everyone who has joined us here knows, today, September 5th, is our virtual exhibition opening reception, and tomorrow will be our in-person opening reception. For those of you who are looking to join us for that, the reception will be held at the gallery in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and will begin at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The address of the gallery, as well as more details on that reception, can be found on our website, alfaart.org. Now I'd like to tell you a little more about our gallery. The Alfa Art Gallery is a part of the New Brunswick Art Salon, which aims to unify the local art community and beyond. Alfa joined the salon in 2010, and since then, we've been committed to our goal of showcasing photography, watercolor, oil, and mixed media works. As a part of our goal, we've been dedicated to expanding and strengthening the artistic community here in New Brunswick, as well as the vibrant community in the tri-state area and beyond. Therefore, we are proud to share that over the mere 15 years that we've been part of the New Brunswick Art Salon, our series have exhibited works not only from established artists, but also promising emerging talents. Further, we've made wonderful connections with both local artists and those from wider America, and even exhibited international works through our successful programs. We are a nonprofit organization, and we remain committed to our mission of uplifting artists through providing an open and innovative environment. Our exhibitions are all free and open to the public from Tuesdays through Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we would love to see you. Now, let me tell you some more about the amazing exhibition you have all joined us to see. As I mentioned, Colors and Textures, Anthology of Artistry is a 2024 Oil, Sculpture, and Mixed Media exhibition, and it promises to take viewers on a journey through diverse artistic landscapes by uniting unique artists, each of whom explore color and texture in their own special way. The exhibition features paintings and sculptures that are emotionally charged, unique but united in their exploration of human emotion through spontaneous mark-making and layered texture. In the exhibition, you'll find dramatic city landscapes alongside meditative, radiant paintings and works which use natural and homemade elements, inviting the viewer to ponder the natural world and our collective consciousness. Cultural heritage and human connection are explored in oil paintings, and chaos is juxtaposed with order in figurative collages and surreal landscapes. Texture sculptures complete the exhibition, balancing the paintings while enhancing the themes of humanity and emotion, and probing viewers to examine once familiar elements in fresh, cognitive ways. It is now time to present our 17 talented artists. We hope that as you join us for this virtual opening, you find their work as incredible, moving, and thought-provoking as we do. And now, without further ado, here are the artists of Alfa Art Gallery's Color and Texture, an Anthology of Artistry, featuring in alphabetical order, Carmelita Diaz-Camin, Dan Finaldi, Deborah Vinarski, Dwayne Lutzko, Jane Dell, Josephine Barrero, Kat Collins, Keith Vogren, Kieran Dollywall, Kirk Maynard, Lisa Mercigilia Moran, Rebecca Wells, Rita Marie Chimney, Rosalie Nzinga, Sandra Coberland, Shoshana. I will now pass you off to Caitlin Harris Picarillo, one of our outstanding gallery assistants, to introduce these artists in depth.
Starting off with Dan Finaldi. Dan Finaldi's journey as an artist began in Rochester, New York, where he grew up in an immigrant home. Surrounded by working-class Italian, Polish, Ukrainian, and Jewish communities, his early passion for art blossomed as he sketched on paper scraps from a local printer. His formal art education started at a local community college, but quickly shifted towards painting. Transferring from SUNY New Paltz, a liberal arts college located in the Hudson Valley region, Dan was influenced by the abstract expressionist faculty, but remained committed to figurative art. On our left, we have one of his pieces called Playground 2. It is an oil painting on a 22 by 38. He earned his MFA from Brooklyn College, where he was mentored by renowned artists such as Lois Dodd, Lenore Anderson, and Philip Perlstein. In 1990, Dan moved to Highland Park, drawn by the community's resemblance to his Brooklyn neighborhood. Here, he became close friends with artist Mel Lepsig, introduced by Lois Dodd. Dan paints from reality, guided by his personal instincts and responses to the world around him. On our left, we have another one of his paintings, an oil painting called Still Life with People Walking on a 22 by 38. Moving on, Carmelita Diaz-Camin is another one of our artists here at the exhibition. Carmelita Diaz-Camin is an artist who uses natural materials to create impactful art that connects nature and womanhood. Drawing from her cultural heritage, Carmelita works with mixed media, including oil, sculpture, and natural resources, to explore femininity in relation to society's psychological gaze. On our left, we have one of her oil on canvas called El Pastel on a 50 by 50 centimeter canvas. Originally from Metepec, Mexico, Carmelita gained a Bachelor of Visual Arts from Allende Institute and studied at the University of Barcelona for a postgraduate degree in art therapy. She continued her education in the United States, earning a master's in visual arts from the State University of New York. Currently residing in the New York area, Carmelita has displayed her artwork at numerous exhibitions around the tri-state area. To our left, we have one of her sculptures. Josefine Barrero. Born and raised in New York, New Jersey, Josefine Barrero is both an artist and art educator with Spanish heritage. Her urban setting influenced her mixed media artwork, which includes acrylic and spray paint. To our left, we have a spray paint oil stick on canvas called Noble Pause. It's 48 by 48 inches. Josephine's themes often explore human and animal interactions, spirituality, anxiety, strength, transformation, and resilience. On our right, we have another acrylic spray paint and oil stick on canvas called Junkyard Dogs. and it is 75 by 74 inches. Kat Collins is an abstract artist based in Easton, Pennsylvania, known for her vibrant emotional mixed media paintings. She holds a BFA from Mount Vernon Nazarene University and has developed distinctive style characterized by spontaneous marks and layered textures. Kat uses various materials such as ink, collage, graphite, oil, pastel, acrylic, and charcoal in her work. To our left, we have a mixed media on canvas artwork, which is named When God Was a Woman, on a 30 by 30 inch canvas. Since 2022, she has exhibited her art at Connections Gallery and other venues in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and North Carolina. Inspired by artists like de Kooning and Basquiat, Kat aims to evoke emotional responses and reflect the human experience. Her work embraces vulnerability and privacy, and she defines success by personal happiness and audience resonance. She advises viewers to approach her work with openness. To our left, we have another mixed media on wood panel piece of hers called Story Unspoken. It is 18 by 18 inches. Rosalind Nzinga. Rosalind Nzinga, born in Indiana, comes from a family of artisans and craftsmen, a mixed media artist and papermaker. Her roots are in graphic design. Initially working with papier-mâché, sculptures, and assemblages, Rosalind has spent the last 2 decades incorporating vintage lace and textiles into her works. On our right, we have one of her pieces, and it is mixed media handmade paper collage on archival paper. It is named Birthing Humanity, and it is a 37 by 40 inches. Inspired by her grandmother Esther's ethos of repurposing textiles and found objects, Rosalind gives things with history and new life in her art. She believes repurposing is a way to respect the earth, resulting in lyrical and spiritual works that are intentionally vague. Her art also honors cultural roots by incorporating African diaspora iconography and textiles. On our right, we have another one of her pieces. It is collage and handmade paper with inclusions of archival paper. It is titled Queen 2, and it is by 14 by 10 inches.
Born in Texas, raised in California, and having resided in Maryland, New York, and now New Jersey, Lutzko's varied experiences allow him to draw transcendental connections to the American and broader experiences reflected in his art. He holds an MFA in painting from Brooklyn College, CUNY, and a BA in Fine Arts from UCLA. Dwayne Lutzko is a studio painter and an art educator dedicated to invoking the artistic processes to develop and sustain the human experience. Lutzko has instructed at various art institutions ranging from the Maryland Institute College of Art to the Visual Arts Center of New Jersey. His oil-based paintings delve into the American cultural landscape, exploring elements etched into the collective consciousness. Lutzko examines the dichotomy of motor vehicles, highways, and roads, among other American staples, both symbol of freedom and mundane daily routine. His paintings encourage spectators to view those everyday elements in an alternative light. Jane Dell holds a BFA from Pratt Institute in painting and printmaking. Additionally, she studied textile design and fabric arts at Person School of Design and graphic design, illustration, and printmaking at the School of Visual Arts in NYC. Her paintings combine imagery and inventive abstracted forms in her free-flowing, colorful surreal landscapes and figurative collage painting. Her mixed media works are made with acrylic and collage on canvas, watercolor, ink, and photography. Her experimental paintings are influenced by the unpredictability of life, exploring the ever-shifting boundaries between chaos and order in nature. Her gestural brushwork blends organic shapes with geometric worlds. Her process begins with the loose idea that is guided through evolution by materials. Dell's work has been included in many private collections in New York, New Jersey, Switzerland, and Matera, Italy. She was born in India, then moved back and forth between India and New Jersey while growing up. She was introduced through art through her mother, who was a kindergarten teacher that encouraged her creativity. After working as a space planner designer in her adult life, she decided to go back to pursuing art professionally. She focuses on oil paints, but has also begun experimenting with acrylics and encaustics. Her series Imprints of India focuses on the daily life in her rural hometown in India. She draws from multiple references to create each painting. Each composition is a composite of different photographs she has taken, along with additions from her own imagination. Along with her series Imprint of India, she also has another series called Strength and Radiance, which focuses on women and their presence in all aspects of life. She says that the cultural themes and imprints of India have begun to merge with their focus on womanhood in recent works. In the piece shown on the slide, Indian Bride, viewers look in on a bride and her mother getting ready in the bathroom. The bride can be identified by her red clothing, which is the traditional color for Indian weddings, as opposed to the white we might see in Western weddings. In her upcoming work, she hopes to continue focusing on women, expanding her subject matter to include Western mothers and customs of femininity, as well as continuing to make work inspired by her Indian heritage. She hopes that viewers will be able to see a story when they look at her paintings, not only the story that she created behind the piece, but their own story as well. Originally from New York City, Maynard's original love of art came from comics, which he began drawing as a kid. His love of art matured in high school, which was also when he developed his love of teaching as an art teaching assistant. His political focus merged with his art in graduate school, when he began to focus on arts beyond simply aesthetics and started to bring political issues he was already focusing on into his work. Maynard's most recent series focused on portraiture, and he portrays friends, associates, and even strangers. His recent series have focused on the marginalization of Black people in contemporary society. His Periphery series highlights the profile as a vantage point, emphasizing how a person can be viewed differently depending on different biases. The use of the hoodie, as well as the focus on body language, further the emphasis on stereotypes, particularly of Black men in America. Currently, Maynard is a resident with the Golden Foundation, where he is exploring the use of new mediums, primarily acrylic paint, and expanding scale, experimenting with larger works. As an artist who loves to blend color and medium, Maynard has visions of blending some of his recent series together in the future.
Our next artist is Keith Bogan. Born and residing in eastern Pennsylvania, Keith is a neo-romantic oil painter with a taste for depicting the outdoors, be it landscapes or cityscapes. Keith's journey in art started with the exploration of various mediums, such as pencil, charcoal, and sculpture, before settling on oil paint. The scenes depicted in these paintings are often set closer to home, along the East Coast. To the right of the slide, you can see Pines Barren, completed in oil on canvas, along the dimensions of 16.5 by 26.5 inches. Keith's preferred color palette leans towards cooler, deeper tones, while still implementing warm colors to emphasize contrast between the lighter and darker areas of paint, bringing it to life. With the addition of textured brushstrokes, he attains a style of controlled looseness in his composition. The perspectives found in Keith's paintings are often unconventional and challenge viewers to consider familiar scenes in unique ways. Traces of Keith's favorite pastimes, such as fishing, camping, and hiking, can be found lingering within the context of his art pieces. On the right of the slide is E. Morton Street, South Bethlehem, completed with oil on canvas, encompassing dimensions of 20 by 28 inches. Our next artist is Rebecca Wells. Rebecca was born in California, but has spent most of her life in New York. Initially working as a painter, Rebecca began to take interest in sculpting with sheet acrylic and later steel. Her sculpting and welding takes inspiration from origami-like forms, and the heat from the welding provides the steel with a matured look. During her artist residency at SunPower Corporation in Richmond, California, Rebecca experimented with bent round steel rods and was enraptured by the simplicity of working solely with line to create form and texture. On the right side of the slide is Double House, sculpted from sheet acrylic. Rebecca's 3 decades of researching and teaching biomimicry at Pratt Institute has influenced her sculptures to draw from human-altered nature. In her collection, Displacement, Rebecca pays tribute to the countless people displaced from their homes due to unrest within their country. The steel houses represent security and sanctuary. For Rebecca, they represent different lives and belonging. On the right side of the slide is Houses, also sculpted from sheet acrylic. Up next is Rita Marie Cheney. Rita is a Delaware-based fine artist whose key intent is to connect with the people who view her paintings. She holds a Master of Fine Arts in Painting and Sculpture from Bennington College and has works held in private collections in the U.S. as well as abroad, and the public collections of Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center and the MC Hotel. Until 2019, Rita served as the president of the Studio Montclair, a nonprofit visual arts organization. On the left side of the slide is Giverny Reflections, done in oil on canvas with the dimensions of 30 by 30 inches. Rita draws her influence from the beauty she discovers within the water and celestial forms, and uses light to depict the fragility of these forms. She begins her paintings with the use of dull toned hues, followed by layering semi-transparent colors. Rita uses techniques of scraping and the addition of raw pigment to add texture to her pieces, allowing the viewer's eye to travel the terrain of the painting and reach a state of transcendence beyond the ones of mundane life. On the left side of the slide is Become the Sky. An oil on canvas with a dimension 48 by 60 inches. Up next is Sandra Koberlin. Sandra Koberlin is an artist and a K-12 educator from East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, currently residing in Penn State of Pittsburgh, and Bachelor of Arts in Education and Art from Roe University. Sandra specializes in encaustic painting, a technique in which pigments are mixed with hot wax and applied onto a surface to create an image. On the right side of the slide is Koberlin 05, done with beeswax, horsehair, graphite, and oil stick on birch panel in dimensions of 24 by 18 inches. Sandra's art utilizes environmentally friendly materials that work to capture natural worlds and invoke a sense of imitation into the art to the viewer. Being one of the oldest art mediums, encaustic painting captivates Sandra and influences her work not just with the techniques, but the calm scent and atmosphere that is built up in the studio upon its use. Equipping the art of encaustic painting, Sandra intends to capture fleeting moments of balance, beauty, and visible stillness. On the left of the slide is Koberlin 09, done with beeswax, India ink, collage, and oil stick on birch panel with dimensions of 36 by 36 inches.
Next, we have Lisa Marseglia Morin, who is a distinguished Northern New Jersey artist and educator with a BFA from Boston College and a teaching certification from William Patterson's College. With a 30-year journey teaching art in New Jersey, her retirement redirected her focus towards art making and creativity, which earned her recognition and awards for her work in the New Jersey/New York area. Furthermore, during the mid-1990s, she created a style of mixed media works on woven paper. These abstract expressionist pieces, crafted across various mediums including oil, watercolor, pen, ink, and mixed media, undergo a distinctive process. First, she separates two or more paintings of drawings of organic subjects, then strategically interweaves them together, such as individualized portraits of people of different ethnicities. Thus, each creation is a metaphor for la etch, the profound notion that we're all intricately linked, embodying her core themes of energy, movement, and unity. Furthermore, these works also effortlessly intertwine artistry, harmony, and the natural world, delving into the profound beauty of nature and the inherent interconnectedness of life. Next, we have Susanna Curtis. A painter based in Nutley, New Jersey, she draws heavily from her cultural heritage in Budapest, Hungary. Graduating from the esteemed Montez Art School, Curtis works with both pencils and oil paints. She's renowned for her realistic portraitures that dive into the themes of introspection and solitude. As such, these portraits are deep inquiries into the human soul, creating a poetic expression that engages the audience and opens a dialogue about history. Moreover, through her selective use of color, Curtis carefully constructs evocative environments that serves as a psychological exploration for not only her own identity, but also of the artisans, dancers, writers, poets, and musicians who captivated her. Furthermore, her oil paintings delve into the psychology of herself and others, capturing the spirits of the avant-garde. Her series, Time and Music, are compelling mediations that captures the profound experience of the creative and artistic mind, while also encouraging viewers to reflect on the complexities of human existence. Next, we have Deborah Winiarski. Deborah Wieniawski is a contemporary artist that specializes in a very unique approach to mixed media relief paintings. After earning a master's degree from the prestigious Queens College, she further honed her skills at the Revere Art Student League of New York, rising to be an esteemed instructor at the Art Student League since 2009. In her role as an educator, Wieniawski has shared her vast knowledge and expertise with aspiring artists in mixed media and encaustic. And pushing the boundaries of relief paintings, her works has been exhibited extensively in New York City and across the United States, including Tenuous Flirts at Atlantic Gallery and The Center Cannot Hold at Equity Gallery. Her current practices involves working with fabric and color to create raised and textured relief surfaces that undulates across a picture plane, employing printmaking, painting, drawing, sewing, both direct and indirect print mark making. Through these techniques, she captures the fluidity of movement in time, presenting it in a still tangible form in her profound understanding of texture and space. As such, her works are dedicated to capture the fleeting beauty of movement and also the tactile experience of texture. Last but not least, we have Ritu Bajaj. Ritu Bajaj is a New Jersey-based artist specializing in contemporary realism. She takes inspiration from nature around her, inviting viewers to find beauty in small moments and to appreciate the surrounding details in daily life. Bajaj first discovered her passion for art in college, when she breathed life into the mundane 2D sketches of biology and transformed them into 3D representations. Subsequently, to being introduced to a French Renaissance guru in an atelier and then received further training in India, she was empowered with traditional oil painting techniques that catapulted her into the intricacies of traditional realism. Inspired by her eye-opening experience in college, she strives to create a three-dimensional experience on two-dimensional canvases, immersing the viewer in her art. During the past decade, Ritu has also produced artwork with graphite, charcoal, and pen and ink just as easily as she has done with oil paint. As a result, her work ranges from landscapes, still lifes, floral, to portraits.
Amazing. Thank you for sitting and watching through that. Now, I think Leandri's gonna take us to our virtual gallery space, which we'll walk through. While she's doing that, I just wanted to say that any artists who are on the call today, please feel free when we reach your art. If you'd like to add in something, we would love that. But if not, it's okay. You don't have to say anything. But yeah.
Hello?
Virtual gallery space.
Oh.
It's quite big and quite cool. I'm very, very happy that this is the type of technology we can use nowadays. And you'll notice, just have some patience since it's a little tricky to move around with the mouse tool, but we'll get there. To start off, we have Kat Collins. She's an amazing artist. You've heard from the presentation. A lot of her themes include human emotion and shared experience. I had the pleasure of interviewing Kat Collins, and she's an amazing person. One piece that really caught my eye was it is the third from the left, and it has like some pink colors in it. It's When God Was a Woman. I love how vibrant the pinks are, as well as the different textures and the dots that are shown that litter the canvas. And then there's also almost some floral shapes. It's very feminine, which kind of matches to the title that was given. A second favorite of mine is, oh, yep, there it is. That's the When God Was a Woman. I really love the dots that litter it. and you can kind of see the floral shapes. When I did interview her, she was very much like, there's not really one take on the art, but she just wants you to look at it and enjoy it and really trying to keep an open mind. Another painting that really caught my eye was called Story Unspoken. It is the bottom one of these two that Leandry's zooming in on. It has more of a darker atmosphere with the colors, and I also love the linear white lines that go throughout the painting. For me, it almost is like the plot line of a story when I think about the title. But then again, it's also depending on who's looking at the painting, it can be different for everybody. And then maybe let's scoot back out. Miriam said that this collection is very riveting. The placement of the colors allow the eye to travel around the composition to fully take it in. I very much agree with Miriam. Miriam's another one of our curatorial interns. We'll probably have some different comments from different curatorial interns today. We can just take a look around on her paintings, but all of her paintings are amazing. Those are just the two that really caught my eye. And now we can move, I think, Leandry, to Dwayne Lutzko. One of the paintings that caught my eye was Clary'sville Overpass. I think it is, or we can go to this one. This is another one that caught my eye. This one's called Baltimore. I love the contrast of the more like industrial building in the very foreground of the painting. You kind of just see the top of it, not like the pretty, like the more pretty facade of it. And then you have this beautiful like red brick building view. A lot of his themes are about American identity, freedom, and also just mundane daily routines and how that ties in with the other themes. And then maybe let's see if we can try and find Clary'ville Overpass. Yes. Okay. So this is another one, Clary'ville Overpass. I just thought that the highways, the industrial aspects, such as the highways and the car and the road, was surrounded by a lot of greenery, which is something that I really, really loved. All of his paintings are amazing. They are all oil paintings, and they're just really, really very interesting to look at. Daisy said that the warmth in this one is really beautiful and makes you feel like you're actually there, which I very much agree with. It seems like it's almost either sunset or sunrise, but that's what I'm getting from the light painted there, or the warmth in the trees. Not trees, like ground and grass. Amazing.
Our next artist that we're looking at is Ritu Bajaj. One of the pieces that really stood out to me was Sunset Cruise, which is the second from the left on the wall. I thought there was such a beautiful color contrast between the sky and the water, and it really makes the sunset look super vibrant. And I also think the level of detail that went into painting the waves is incredibly impressive. And ultimately, Ritu's style of photorealism is like, it requires a lot of technique to accomplish, and I think it's done very well. And then the second piece I wanted to highlight is called Rainy Day in France. It's this one right here. Once again, I just think the photorealism is so precise, especially in the reflections on the walkway, like the stone with some of that like wet rain texture over it. I think it's just beautifully done. And again, the colors all work super well in combination with each other. It really feels very romantic and like you are on the street in France. And then let's see our next artist, Kirk Maynard. The first painting that I wanted to talk about was Unnamed Six, which I believe is the fifth from the left, with the flowers in the background. Yeah. I just thought the flowers added some really nice texture and depth to the background, as well as kind of working together with the colors. in the women's clothing. I think it really ties together well, and just kind of highlights the figure as the central focus of the painting. And then the second ones that I wanted to talk about are actually two paintings, but they're right next to each other here. It's Unnamed 1 and Unnamed 2. I really love the two of these together. With the colors of the hoodies, it's kind of like viewing two sides of the same embrace. Yeah, Rosalind says beautiful work. I definitely agree. I think the technique is super well done. The colors are beautiful, and especially with the artist's themes that were mentioned in the presentation, I think this is just a beautiful combination of pieces.
And now we'll make our way over to Lisa Marseglia Moran. She has amazing work. I really, really love looking at them. A lot of her themes have to do with artistry, harmony, nature, the interconnectedness of life, which I think you can really see since a lot of her paintings kind of have to do with like an own interwoven pattern, which I think is really interesting. We can go to the first painting, which is Woven Lilies. It is, I believe, it's all the way to the right. I think it's like the third from the right. There we go. I chose this painting just because I really loved the brightness from the purple and against the stark white. I love how it looks like a woven basket, which definitely reminds me of some harmony. It's kind of broken up, but has the optical illusion as if it's still woven together, which is really, really beautiful. Another painting that I really loved was in Locket. I am probably pronouncing that wrong, but it is, yep. There we go. I thought that this was a really beautiful painting. I loved kind of it looks like the misplacement of eyes or a face on top of another face. Again, it seems disjointed, but with all of the colors, well, not the colors, but like the black and white as well as the interwoven pattern, everything seems to work seamlessly. I also love the expression of this model. I think it's a very interesting expression. I loved looking into the eyes and how Lisa portrayed them. I think it's very interesting. Now we can go on to another artist, Josefine Barreiro. A lot of her themes have to do spirituality, anxiety, transformation, urban life. I definitely see more of an urban aspect to these paintings, maybe some pop art themes in it. I think they're really, really interesting. One of the paintings that caught my eyes is Natural Blues, which I think it's definitely part of a trio painting. I liked this one specifically because of the bright pop of yellow. It at first seems, I think, a little bit more unsettling, but then like as you look into it, I think it's really, really beautiful. When you just take everything in my opinion, I love the different contrast of eyes, as well as how it works in harmony with the other two paintings. It's almost like a calm chaos for me. And then the second painting I'd like to talk about is Noble Pause. Noble Pause. I thought this one, which was quite opposite, I think, to the other one, is very bright and colorful. The other one had the yellow to it, but this one is definitely more, I think it feels more alive to me. I love the color blocking on this, as well as how it's strong and bold, which kind of lends to its name, Noble Paws. It seems like such a strong and bold animal, the bull. And the inverted eye is very interesting to me. One eye seems like it's kind of, spacing off, and the other one seems like it's honed in on you.
So now moving on to our next artist, Jane Dell. I believe a lot of this work is mixed media, collage, and there are some kind of like abstract or almost surrealist elements in Jane's work. The first one that I wanted to talk about was Altered Still Life 4, which I think if you can pull that one up. Yeah, I think it's the third one. Yeah. I just think this collage has such a dynamic composition. The placement of all the elements gives the piece a really good sense of like diagonal movement from the bottom left up to the top right. And I really appreciate that this kind of like deconstructs the traditional still life that we're used to seeing in a lot of like museums. I think this is like a really good subversion of that normal trope. And then the second piece is called Looking Within, or Chicken Feet. I think this one stylistically is pretty different from Altered Still Life #4, but you can still definitely see some of the abstract or surrealist influences in the overall work. I also think this is a really interesting exploration into the human form, and again, kind of like deconstructing the conventional portrait and including other elements that kind of make the viewer pause and think about what they're looking at a little bit more. So I really enjoyed this one. And then next we have Rebecca Wells. So as you can see, she does a lot of house-shaped sculpture. This one is called Four Houses. And I think what I really like about this one is the amount of movement that you can see in the piece. First, the hanging from a single point on the ceiling, kind of allowing it to exist by itself in space. And I think also the slight bends in the wire. The houses are not completely perfectly geometrical, and I think that kind of lends some additional movement to the piece. It kind of adds onto the effect of the houses hanging in space, which I really enjoy. And as well, I think the shadow on the wall from the light kind of becomes a part of the art piece itself. It is a really cool like interaction of sculpture and light. So to be able to see that kind of like almost double in the background is really interesting.
Okay, and now we'll go to Dan Finaldi's work. I also had the pleasure of interviewing Dan Finaldi, and I loved his work. A lot of his work is figurative painting focused on narrative power and diverse community, as well as harmony and just simple human interactions and peaceful like coexistence. All of his mediums are oil painting. One piece that I'd love to look at is The Empty Store. I thought this was a really interesting painting, mostly because I was just wondering who the model was looking at. I know from interviewing him that this model is just, he went to a store and he knew the store owner and he was able to, his model at last minute, decided not to come, and he asked the store clerk's daughter just to sit there and pose. And I just thought it was beautiful, figurative art in painting. And then the next one we'll go to is the chess piece. So we have Maid Knight playing chess. I chose this painting because it just offered it seemed very warm and forthcoming to me. He doesn't have a lot of night pieces, and so I thought it was a really interesting distinction. I love the simple act of just playing chess, and then you have the warm light coming in from the house and someone checking them and on them in the backyard. It just seems very, very intimate to me, and I love it. I loved, looking in on this scene, which is so, so simple, but creates a lot of warmth in my heart. Now we can move on to Sandra Coberlin. Oh, also Grace says she really noticed how Finaldi's brushwork captures the movement and direction, and his use of color to depict sunlight and shadows demonstrates to me a strong execution of color theory. I definitely agree with that. Thank you, Grace. This is Sandra Coberlin's work. The mediums that she uses are encaustic paintings, handmade papers, original drawings, photos, Kyanopy prints, and ephemera. So a lot of mixed media. A lot of her style is media and abstract art with layered techniques, and her inspiration is the natural world's magical rejuvenation and a sense of place. The first painting I'd like to talk, well, not painting, artwork I'd like to talk about is Coberlin 09. Yeah, there you go. Amazing. I love the combination of colors and speckles of black that litter the piece. I love the pastel colors, which is something so soft against the bold, I think almost figure eight on top of the painting. It definitely, I think, takes you on a journey throughout this whole painting, and it definitely makes you think. Her brush strokes also seem very like not soft, but also it flows in a very harmonious way. Our next work I'd like to talk about is Coberlin 07. There we go. It is a combination of the other three works. Can maybe get the other works in the camera as well? Amazing. Just to talk about these works as a whole, I love the kind of semicircle parts on some of the paintings. They kind of remind me of like the dichotomy of Earth, and then our out of world space with the leaves also kind of representing the Earth. That's also just my take. But I think you can see a lot of different things in this painting, and I also like the reoccurring 8 within the art. Daisy says the texture here gives the work a very rustic feel and is able to connect them together compositionally. I do agree, especially the rustic feel with all of the leaves, as well as the earth tone greens, I think makes it more rustic. And now I think we can go to Karan Liwal.
Yes. So let's just make our way over. And then for Kiran Dhaliwal, the first piece I want to talk about is Indian Bride, which is the third from the left. I really like this piece. I think it shows such a beautiful moment between mother and daughter on the daughter's wedding day. The daughter is in red, which I believe is the traditional like bridal color in India. I think the composition of this piece, just showing the multiple perspectives of the one moment, is really powerful and kind of reflects on the differing viewpoints of the mother and daughter on the same day. And I also think this piece showcases a really important aspect of womanhood, especially in a non-Western culture, which is something that Kiran tries to highlight a lot in her works. And then the second piece I would like to talk about is called Bus Stop. I believe both of these pieces were in the presentation as well. But on this one, I just love the colors and the cast shadows. The way it's composed feels very almost like slice of life. The subjects are not really engaging with the viewer, but rather engaging with each other and their surroundings. And I think once again, it gives such a good insight onto like the daily goings on of an area that most people here in the West might not be familiar with. And it's really nice to see just what goes on in other cultures and in other parts of the world. And then now we have Deborah Winiarski. Oh, yeah. The first one that I want to talk about is called When Dawn Calls to Daybreak, which I think it's the second one. Yeah, perfect. So for this one, I just really love the texture and the variation in color. You can see, of course, all of it is pretty monochromatic, but in the different strips of fabric, there is some variation in the tone or the saturation of the color from the pigment that was applied to the fabric. And I think this gives the sculpture a little bit extra, like even visual texture on top of the physical texture that is there. And it's really interesting to get kind of like almost a glimpse into the manufacturing process of all these materials. And the second piece is called Omphalos. . 。 . 。 . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . We can pull that one up. Yes. So in this one, I feel the fabric is handled so differently from the other one that I just showed, When Dawn Calls to Daybreak. Of course, this one, the fabric is arranged differently in a much more circular fashion, and I feel that it looks much more fluid and almost organic looking. And yet you can tell there's a consistency in the technique across all of her pieces in terms of like the application of the dye and the treatment of the fabric. I think it's really interesting to see kind of how the overall aesthetics of this entire series carries over into each individual piece, and how each sculpture or each piece looks super unique, but still has some of the characteristics of like shared with the other ones. Anne says this is a very powerful, engaging piece, and I definitely agree. I think they're so compelling to look at.
Now we'll go to Carmelita Diaz Camin. And Renee, I loved those works by Deborah. I really thought it took you on a pathway through the fabric. This is Carmelita Diaz Camin. It has different mediums, and she works with oil, Chinese ink, ceramics, and natural pigments. So mixed media artist as well as an oil-based artist. A lot of her themes have to do with historical links, landscapes, living spaces. One of the first paintings I'd like to talk about is Botellas y Mascaras painting. The one on the top, yeah. I thought this was a very interesting painting, just to see the compositional elements of this painting. It was very, very striking. One of the things that I think it's very hard to do is make a background catch your eye instead of the very four figures. And the background did catch my eye with the different masks that were shown on the wall. As well as kind of the more the foregrounds with the bottles. If anything, I thought the people would catch my eye, but it was everything surrounding them. I also think that the people themselves are made to be more of like a blur in the background, whereas I feel like the background with the masks and the bottles are a little bit more crystal clear, which I thought was very interesting. Another few pieces they kind of go together is children the children pieces, they're sculptures at the end. Specifically, I'd like to look at Children X. There we go. All of these pieces, they're about five different sculptures. They go together, and the one that I chose to focus on is Children X, which is the one in the very middle on the top kneeling. They all are the same in the manner that they all have a striking red hands, but I thought it was interesting to see the kneeling form of this figure. It made me interested to want to know more. As we move into Shoshana Kurtz. Shoshana is an artist. There we go. There you go. Shoshana is an artist. This deals with oil and pencil-based mediums. A lot of her themes are very introspective, solitude, have to do with identity and humanity. The solitude, I think, is very much shown in all these pieces as they're of figures who are alone, or portraiture, especially with the kind of either royal or muted colors. One painting that I'd like to look at specifically is called Rakim. There we go. First, I just think that this is a very interesting figure to look at. I think that she seems like the title may hint at, well, not the title, the themes, at peace with her eyes closed and almost meditating, which is very much a theme throughout all of these paintings. The clock kind of shows to me that time may be slipping away for her, as well as the brushstrokes in the background of the painting, which seem to glide along the canvas and create an almost dreamy kind of limbo quality to the painting. But yeah. The next piece I'd like to look at is called Jacqueline, which is the violin one. I think this is also a very, very interesting painting because similar to the other one where time seems to be slipping away, I feel like the figure in this painting is just fully emulsified in her work, in the music that she's playing, and she seems to just be in another world. Her skin seems very pale, especially contrasted against her blonde hair, which I thought was an interesting color choice for the figure. Yeah, she looks really amazing in that piece. I definitely like that the background shrouds her in darkness, and then there's white kind of radiating around her as if she's in a spotlight. So I'm not sure if that's maybe she's on a stage or she feels like she's in the spotlight because of how immersed she is in her own music, but it's definitely up for the interpretation.
And now we are moving on to the next artist, Rita Marie Samini. So a lot of these works I think are quite abstract, but they almost kind of, if you look closely, almost have like a landscape kind of feel to them. So the first one that I wanted to talk about is Sanctuary, or Into Color and Light. Yep. I really enjoy the placement of the colors in this one. As you can see, the darker values are kind of around the edges, and then they slowly kind of swirl into the brighter center. I believe like this creates a really beautiful kind of vortex effect from far away. It almost kind of looks like tumultuous clouds. And then when you kind of look at the piece up close, you're rewarded with the texture of the brushstrokes. If you are able to see it in person, I would encourage you to take a good look at it and look at just kind of all the different textures that you can see within the piece. I think it's super compelling to look at from all distances. And then the second piece I wanted to talk about is called The Furtherings, which I believe is the big one at the end. Yeah, so the one on the top right here. Again, the placement of the colors and values just creates so much movement in the piece, with the dark values and the light ones highlighting it in the middle. I think it just looks so much, again, like the tumultuous sky and the clouds above this very like peaceful, almost like aquatic looking type setting. There's just so much movement and energy in these pieces, and they're just really beautiful to look at. And then we have our next artist, Rosalind Zinga. Yeah, so a lot of Rosalind's pieces kind of have to do with storytelling through textures, textiles, paper, and often have like themes about African American culture and history. So the first one that I wanted to bring up was The Fabric of Our Lives, which is the fan. For this one, I just really love the three-dimensional aspect, the kind of low relief sculpture off the wall. It adds just a little bit of extra dimension. And I think the handmade paper and the cotton plants attached to the fan are just really beautifully crafted, as well as the fact that the fan itself is an antique, I think is a very unique approach to this sculpture. And just in general, I think the handcrafted aspect, as well as the presence of the cotton, is a really poignant reminder of American history, and it's just a beautiful way to reflect. And then the second piece I wanted to talk about is called Queen 2. I believe it was in the presentation as well. But in this one, I just really love the overlapping almost of the foreground and the background. The stripes in the background end up kind of overlapping the face of the central figure. And I think this is just such a beautiful way of kind of tying all the different elements together. Again, it adds some kind of visual texture, although the piece itself is 2D. It makes it really compelling to look at. And I love the way the figure is highlighted in the center, how the lighting on the face is a bit more warm and golden compared to the lighting that is on the body. It is just like a really nice commemorative piece, and also highlights different elements of African or African American culture.
Yeah, and now very beautiful work. We'll move on to our last artist, unfortunately, which is Keith J. Vogren. Here are Keith's works. Keith primarily specializes in this exhibition oil painting, has some light and dark contrasts in many of his paintings, and warm and cool colors as well, and textured brushstrokes. One of the first paintings that I'd love to focus on is Coplay Kilns. Amazing. A lot of what Keith's focus on is unique perspectives on familiar environments, and like he has a controlled looseness in his style, I believe, but it definitely provided a unique perspective, I think, of this building. I'm not sure how big it actually is in real life, but it definitely seems like to tower when I was looking at it. I felt kind of small, but I felt like the powerful presence of this building, which I think is, odd to most people to hear that a building could have that much power, presence wise. And I thought that also the brush strokes in the sky were really, really beautiful. They're almost kind of have like a hazy quality, which, presents the clouds in a very beautiful way. The next painting that I would love to go to is Castle in El Yuque Rainforest. Again, this painting provided a very unique perspective to me. I've never been here, but it was interesting to see from the perspective. Kind of, you can imagine from the title that you may be in a castle, which is what the foreground kind of lends to. It has some stone kind of ridges, which you would kind of think, or at least when I think of it, I think that I'm peering out over a castle ledge. Miriam said Keith's understanding usage of color is awe-dropping. I agree. I feel like I am there in person, and when looking at the scenes that are depicted, I very much agree. I think that Keith has a talent when, capturing a certain perspective, so as if it feels like you're looking out of a camera or you're looking out of your own eyes, especially seeing the towering mountains in this rainforest is very, very amazing to see. Okay, and I think that's all of the artists that we have for you today in this gallery. Thank you for joining us all. Brian Scott. Oh, there we go. Brian was saying congratulations. Yes, congratulations, especially to every artist who is here today and who's presenting this exhibition. All of your work is amazing, and I find it such a privilege to be able to, host this event and comment on your work. Are there any questions for any of the workers here at Alpha, or any artists who are here with us today, or any comments from the artists? Okay, well, if there's no questions, then thank you for joining us here today. We appreciated having us all today, and thank you.